So Instagram is live, Facebook cut off also. I think the internet dropped. So sorry about the guys on YouTube. Sorry about that. The internet dropped and we're back online. So yeah, Instagram guys, I'm waiting for you guys. 5 more minutes. 5 minutes to get back to let me know what your plans are for your brand. Even if you haven't created the brand, your imaginary brand that you have in your mind, what are your plans for this imaginary brand? Now, what are your predictions 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now? So who's joining us on YouTube? If you're on YouTube, just say hi. So I'm gonna give you guys just 2 more minutes. Okay. So Aya says that I want to start a joggers brand. Okay, and I want it to have a 5 year plan. But what's the 5 year plan, Ayo? Now you want it to be a joggers brand. In 5 years time, what do you want to achieve? You know, yeah. But that's she says I'm still about to create it. Yeah. So the idea of this class is to help you create it. So imagine future broadcast in 5 years time. Once you've created this brand, what do you wanna? What's the prediction for the brand? Where do you see the brand in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years? That's the whole idea of this. Okay, so I think we're back live on Facebook again. We're also back live on YouTube and Instagram is cool. All right, so Ayo has the plan. Who else is online? If there's anybody else online, let us know. Okay, so once you've plotted out this 5, 10, 15, 20 year plan, it gives you some clarity or it gives you some focus on where you're taking your brand. So this plan is something that you come back to all the time. You always come back to this and you ask yourself, when I started this brand, this is where I wanted to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It also allows you to have a big vision for your brand. Don't just think small. Don't be scared of putting it on paper. If you put things on paper, it allows you to visualize it. The Bible was put on paper and it's still alive today. So put it on paper so you can really look at it and then speak to it, pray into it, and then implement it. So that's the idea of putting things onto paper. So the next sprint, if you guys are good for us to move to the next, who's joining us on YouTube? If you are good for us to move to the next sprint or the next session is about the what, the how, and the why. Yesterday, when I was speaking to you guys, I mentioned to you that we shouldn't start a brand, any kind of brand, without knowing why we're doing this, how we're going to do it, and what we are doing. And people don't buy what you do, but they buy why you do it. I'm just going to repeat that. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People buy Kyobi because we had a strong why. Our strong why 10 years ago was to tell the African story through cool African t-shirts. For example, you have a t-shirt like this, for the love of Africa. When the media was only showing poor, starving African children, when we knew that that's not the whole one narrative of Africa, I thought, okay, let me put out t-shirts like this, for the love of Africa. T-shirts that had a positive narrative about Africa. Now, people don't just buying these t-shirts because I do it. They're buying it because it connects with them, because it tells a story, because it makes sense. How are you doing, Sammy Blanks? Sammy just joined. Oh, Sammy is one of my seniors from way back in London. Yeah. So if you're joining us on YouTube, you can see the presentation, and we're gonna deal with the why, and then you need to know why you're in business and talk about it. If you don't know why you're in business and you can't really communicate it, you're wasting your time, you're wasting everybody's time, you're wasting your client's time. And so, for example, for Apple will say something like, we make great computers, they are beautifully designed, simple to use, simple to the user, and user friendly. Wanna buy one? So that's a very, very simple, straightforward mission statement for a brand like Apple. We make great computers. They are beautifully designed. They are simple to use, and they're user friendly. And do you want to buy one? For Kayobi, a simple brand line is we make African inspired T-shirts. They are quality. Anyone around the world can connect with it, and we sell it online. So as you're sitting down, you already have your 5, 10, 15, 20 year plan for your brand. Now you need to have, a why, a what and a how. Another, so the next bit, we're gonna go look at the next bit on the form, which goes, another company goes, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is making our products beautifully designed, simple to the user, user friendly, and we happen to make computers one by one. So it's the same thing that Apple was talking about in a bit more detail, right? So it's like, if you ever watched the talk on YouTube when Steve Jobs talks about thinking different, if you guys if you guys have time, go online, go to YouTube, and you see it where Steve Jobs talks about thinking differently, and that TED talk, that talk is really, really cool. Same thing with Nike. If we look at Nike, people don't buy Nikes because of the shoes look cool. They look cool, but it's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's a drive, it's everything that Nike communicates with the brand. So for example, it says, I've been unable to sell encyclopedias. I despise it to boot. I've been slightly better at selling mutual funds, but I felt dead inside. So why was selling shoes so different? Because I realized it wasn't selling. I believed in running. I believed that if people got out and ran a few miles every day, the world would be a better place. And I believed these shoes were better to run in. People, sensing my belief, wanted some of the belief for themselves. And belief, I decided, belief is irresistible. So this is the founder of Nike, who's talking about he couldn't really sell other products. Mohammed joined. Yeah, Mohammed is a stylist, and people might not want to use him as a stylist unless they really connect with his story or they connect with what he's doing with a stylist. Anybody can be a stylist, but if he brings something that is authentic to his brand, if somebody thinks of Afrocentric design or Afrocentric stylists in Ghana, then they're going to think about him because that's what his brand communicates. He doesn't have to say it, he just has to show it and live it. So, YouTube, see you guys on YouTube, say hi, connect with us. If you're on Facebook, say hi, let us know who's on Facebook. Instagram, guys. So, let's get back to, why we do this and how we communicate it. So, continuing on with Nike, they said that the CEO goes on to say that today, more than 50 years later, Nike stands for pretty much the exact same thing. Here is their current mission: bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. That's very, very simple. Like, the mission statement is simple: bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you're an athlete. For Kayobi, going forward, maybe our mission statement could be bringing the African flavor to everyone in the world. So it doesn't limit it to just Ghanaians or Nigerians or Africans. It's bringing the African flavor to every human being in the world. And however we bring the African flavor, it could be food, it could be T-shirts, it could be anything. So be open-minded about what your mission statement will be. An example of another brand that does this well is the Box Water Company. That's the company from Will Smith's son. And he says, we provide. So we're doing, like, what does your company do? So that's the next thing. Put like a little line, just put down, what does your company do? And we're going to write that under that. A phrase or sentence describing your primary business for the next 5 years. Just put down a little sentence. What does my company do? Question mark. And then write underneath it a phrase or a sentence describing your company or business, what it does for the next 5 years. An example is, for the Box Water Company, they go, we provide water in the most sustainable way. So write down that idea of what your company does, or your brand does, or your clothing brand, or your leggings brand. Just put that down on paper. I'll just give you guys a minute for that. Alright, Senior Chris Connie, how you doing, bro? So Chris is a communication professional, does all sorts of things. So thanks for joining the class. We're just talking about brand. We're doing a brand sprint and how people should position their brand. Earlier we spoke about people having a 5, 10, 15, and 20-year strategy for their brand. And now we're talking about how they need a mission statement for their brand. A simple mission statement that communicates what their brand stands for. So if you're joining us on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, just put down that mission statement. A simple mission statement like the Box Water Company says you provide water to the most in the most sustainable way. KOB, we create African-inspired T-shirts that maybe brings flavor to the world. So that's something simple like that we can do. Okay, so if you've got that down, what does your company do? The next thing you need to think about is how do you do it? You know, Apple sells computers, but they don't sell it like everyone else. They bring you, they give you, they launch their products at a particular time in the year. They launch their product online with video. Then people line up, you know, they create anticipation. Then people go to the shop, which is beautifully designed. And then people buy it, and then you get this fantastic product, you know. So how do you do it? Or how do you intend to do it? Since a lot of the people joining the class haven't created, you know, their stuff yet. So IO says we want to import and sell joggers all over the world, and you know the brand should have a dope color branding, different sizes, different color storytelling, product shoots. Yes, all that is good, but what will make your brand different? What is the unique selling point of your brand? You need to start thinking about that. So we figured out what we want to do. Now we need to start thinking about how do we want to do that. What's your secret sauce? What technology or approach sets you apart from the competition? What makes you special? What makes you different? What makes your brand stand out? When we first started, what made us different was that we were, sorry about that guys, what made us different when we first started was that for KOB, our stuff wasn't too, it wasn't forcing people, it wasn't really in your face and forcing people to be overly African. But then it had really strong African ethics, but then it was cool and international enough for somebody who wasn't African to wear. So, for example, the Box Water Company, they go, bottled water water is convenient, but but the way it's produced isn't. Our boxes are more eco-friendly than plastic bottles and are more efficient to produce and ship. I agree. Plastic is not really good. So how are you gonna do it? You know, what are you gonna do differently with your brand? What are you gonna do differently that's gonna let your brand stand out? You need to really have clarity on that and then put that down, write that down. I think almost everyone probably has that written down now. If you've got that written down, let me know. Just give me a wave or send the message and let us know you've got that written down. Fantastic. All right. So the next thing is, now you need to really think more deeply. Why would you really want to do this? Why would you really want to start this clothing brand? Why would you really want to start this bag brand? Why would you really want to start this leggings brand? Why would you want to do this? Yo, Gabby, what's up, Gabby? Gabby is from the New Black. She has a creative platform. She's a designer, does motion graphics and all sorts of cool stuff. Curator extraordinaire. And the only person who I've actually designed anything with. She actually helped me design this t-shirt. I've never actually designed any t-shirt with anyone. Gabby, who's joined us on Instagram, helped me put this together. So thank you, Gabby. So really, why do you want to do this? Do you want to create t-shirts because you think it's cool? Do you want to create a brand because everybody's doing it? I remember about 5 or 6 years ago, everyone and their mother was doing African print, Ankara clothing. Everyone's like, I'm a designer. Now, all those designers, most of them are dead. Very few designers have stayed put and have created brands. So we don't want you to create something that's just gonna die today. We want you to create something that's sustainable. So why do you really want to do this? So for example, with the Box Water Company, what is basically saying, why does your company exist? Why do you get out of bed and go to work? When you don't have a good why, a strong why, you lose focus. Over the years with our brand, initially we were extremely passionate about really changing the narrative about Africa. We were really passionate about, doing stuff that was cool and African. When I moved to the UK, I realized that Africa wasn't cool like how it is today. Afrobeat wasn't cool there, and even in my university, I think there were only about 20 black people. And when I was coming from Ghana and I was very pro Ghanaian, everyone was like, okay, you're a bit too African. But now everybody wants to be African, which is nice. But at that time, bringing out t-shirts like this was to help people have pride in who they were. African people didn't have to, say that, oh, I am Caribbean or I'm Jamaican, because Jamaica was very cool then. African people could be proud of who they are. Over the years, I've kind of lost a bit of my zeal as to what is the focus of the brand. And even as I teach you today, I'm also thinking about why should we continue this brand? Why should we have a strong, we should need to have a strong why. Why should we, why are we doing this? Why should I get up every day and even design this stuff? Teaching this class, I have a strong why. I have a wealth of knowledge and I can give it out back to the world because I also learn from other people. So that's my strong why. What is your strong why as to why you want to start a brand or design or, create something for the world? So why does your company exist? Why do you get out of bed and go to work? For the Box Water Company, their example was every choice we make is a step towards a healthier lifestyle. Make Box Water one of your steps. Cool. So write down your idea on why, and if you got that already up, Fidel, send your stuff. If you're on YouTube and you've already got, you've got that, let us know. Okay, so it seems like the live chat is not connecting on YouTube, so that's fine. If you're on YouTube and the live chat is not connecting for you, just put it in the comments. Just drop your messages in the comments, and then we'll check it out. All right. I'm just gonna quickly continue the session. All right. Who else is still watching us on Instagram, and who's joining us on Facebook? If you're joining on Facebook, say hi. Okay. There we go. All right. So let's continue then. I hope you guys, this is helpful to you, and by the time we finish today, you have clarity on why you're starting your brand, how your brand communicates, and things of that nature. So we've done the 20-year roadmap. We've done the what, the how, and the why, and now we need to have 3 top values for your brand. So, for example, what are the 3 top values for KOB? We authentically African. We try our best to give quality, and I'd say another. That's a strong one. So African to the African roots, and we always, I think, maybe global reach. We've always tried to reach people globally. How you doing, cuz? My cousin just joined on Instagram. So for KOB, with regards to top 3 values, I would say African roots, African inspired, quality, and then trying to reach a global mass. So for yourself, let's make your why more specific. You already know why you're starting. You already know how you're gonna start or what you're doing and stuff. But you need 3 values that would help guide your brand over the 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So some people might say a value for their company or their clothing brand or their leggings brand. One of the top values would be honesty. Some people, it might be integrity, sustainability, affordability, luxury, data-driven, service, simple, trusted, reliable, accessible. So whatever value you think you would want to embed in your brand, write it down on paper. Write it down on the paper right now so that you can always get back to this whenever you look at you lose direction with your brand, or whenever you lose focus. You could always get back to looking at this. So that will help you make your brand, your why more specific. I'm just gonna get on with it and then move on so that we can finish this within the hour. So we already know why we're doing. We already know what our dream is for 20 years. We already know why we're doing this. We already know what we want to do. We already know how we're possibly going to do it. We already know, what our three top values are for our brand. The next thing we need to start thinking about is who are we doing this for? Who are we doing this for? So when I started KOB, the initial who I was doing this for was for myself. I couldn't find the t-shirts that were cool and African that I wanted. So I was like, you know what? If I can find it on Hypebeast, if I can find it online, if I can find it on Foot Locker, I'm gonna make it myself. And that is a selfish thing at that time, but it's a good, motivation to have. And in the same vein, I also wanted to create stuff. I wanted to see other people wearing the stuff that I was wearing, stuff that I was creating, or stuff that I had in my mind. These ideas that I had in my mind that I wanted to bring out. I wanted other people to also be able to wear it and experience it. And you see, I'm even getting excited now because, then that passion or that excitement of doing something for the world, that's how you should be feeling right now with these ideas that you have in your mind. You need to be excited about it. And so, yeah, who's the end user? The end user initially was myself, people like me. I wanted Ghanaians to wear it. Interestingly, was probably non-Ghanaians and people who were from other countries that were wearing it, or except were, buying it initially. They were also really interested in buying it initially. Hi, Yarmines joined, and then Kozi, they joined. Guys, if you join us on Instagram or Facebook, if you want to follow the presentation, you can join us on YouTube, youtube.com/KOBGH, KAYOBIGH, where you can find the presentation. Or if you'd like me to send you the presentation, just send me a message on Instagram and I'll send it to your inbox. So we're talking about top 3 audiences. Imagine you started your brand, or imagine you've already envisaged what your brand is. Just close your eyes and think about, if I had 3 people or 3 types of people wearing my brand, who would they be? It could be a musician, it could be an artist, it could be a family member, it could be anybody. If there were 3 people or 3 types of people wearing your stuff, who would they be? Who's the end user? Somebody might say, I want influencer X to wear it, or I want, I don't know, whoever it could be. I could say KOB. I wish right now every black person would wear KOB, or even being more specific, I wish every young African person who had a dream would wear KOB. So you need to start dreaming and thinking about who your top 3 audiences are. For a luxury brand, they might say, well, we want people who earn X amount of money to be able to buy our luxury product. We want it to be people who can afford, who live in Spain or live in Mount Kilimanjaro on a private, or live on a private island. Start thinking about who your top 3 audiences are and write it down. So Fidel on Instagram says, Fidel from Flona, it's a lifestyle brand based in the UK. I settled home in Ghana in 2016, carrying the torch for Flona Ghana. Cool. So Fidel, tell us more about what is the vision for this brand. We spoke about 5, 10, 20 plan. We spoke about why you started the brand. We spoke about what you want to achieve with the brand. And now we're speaking about who your 3 top 3 audiences are. So who are these 3 top 3 audiences that you have? Fantastic. All right, then, if you guys have got that written down, we're going to move on to the next bit of the sprint. You've done really well. You can stop and breathe and just look at what you've achieved so far. You already have clarity on where your brand is going to be in 20 years. You have clarity on your mission for this brand. Now, if you are on YouTube, you've realized that I'm showing you the personality sliders. I'm just going to take a sip. Oh yeah, just in case, if you've got any questions, you can send the questions right now and I can answer them if you've got any specific questions. Okay. So, personality sliders. Imagine if you know on YouTube, you've got a line, and you've got bits of that line, and you've got Chanel on one side. Chanel on the left side is elite, and then H&M on the right hand side is mass appeal, right? Where does your brand fit with this? Is your brand elite? Is your brand affordable luxury? Is your brand accessible luxury? Is your brand luxury? Is your brand mass produced or mass appeal? For KOB, we're not a luxury brand. We're a streetwear brand. We're kind of in the middle, and we want to bring you something that you can afford, something that's quality, and something that will last, and something that can tell a story. For cars, for example, you have on the far left hand side, you have Honda, which is very conventional, and then you have Tesla for the electric cars, which is a rebel. So, is your brand going to be a conservative brand, or is your brand going to be a dynamic, crazy new brand? You need to start thinking about all the kind of stuff, right? Or you've got like banks, some like even in Nigeria now, you've got certain banks that are traditional to an extent, GT Bank, and then you've got newer banks which are like just strictly digital banks, online banks. So start thinking about where does your brand fit. Look for somebody that it's in a competitor, or look for a brand that is similar in your category, or a brand that you look up to, and then plot it and figure out where does my brand fit. This brand that I'm dreaming about, and this brand I'm going to create, where does this brand fit? So you need to start thinking about that. Okay. So let's get it moving. So, for example, for personality sliders, if, for example, to make it make more sense to you, if we're going to look at personality slider for myself, would I be an authority on fashion and design, or would I be more like a friend? Or will my approach be young and innovative, or mature and classic? Will my teaching style be serious or more playful? Or will I be focusing on mass appeal or more elite? I'd say right now this class is trying to reach more people. The focus is not to be elite and focus on a few. I'd say that my teaching style is a bit of in the middle between serious and playful. I'll say that would I say young, definitely young and innovative, and then would I say I'm a friend or an authority? I'll say I'm a bit of more an authority. So that helps you to plot down where your brand fits. I hope that's quite helpful to you. We're just gonna continue going along with it. We're almost done. We're almost done with the brand sprint. Okay. So you need to figure out where you fit in all of this. It's your brand going to even if you do create a quadrant, a cross, right? And you create like a competitive landscape, and then you put on, maybe you put the best brand at the top here, you put other brands at the bottom, you put brands that are in the middle here. Find out where your brand fits, and then you can plot it out as to where you fit. Even if your brand doesn't currently fit there, think about where you want your brand to be in the future. So write down a list of other companies, place it in the matrix, as I mentioned, and then plot your company on the matrix. And that matrix could be something like, maybe you could put one thing like modern, you could put one thing like maybe affordable, you could put another bit like African. You need to just find out 4 things and you create a quadrant, and then you can plot it out. If you were on YouTube, you can actually see what I'm talking about. Fantastic. Okay. What happens next? You put it all together. You put everything we discussed in the past 40 minutes together. Hampers by Pat. Pat, how you doing, Pat? If you're joining the class now on Instagram, you could always go back to our YouTube page to catch up. It's youtube.com/KOBGH. We spoke about initially, the first thing we did was that we plotted our 20-year plan for our brand. 5, 10, 15, 20. Where do you see your brand in 5, 10, 15, 20? We discuss why. Why do you want to start this brand? You need a strong why, and you always start with why. And then we discuss how. How do you hope to build this brand? Be it a brand that you haven't started, or be it a brand that you're trying to start now. And then we discuss what. What does this brand want to really do? We discussed what does it really want to achieve? What does it really bring to the table? What does it do differently? What is your unique selling point? Then we spoke about what are the top 3 values of your brand. So with Kyobe, it's African inspired, it's quality, and it focuses on reaching the world. Then we spoke about who your top 3 audiences are. Top 3 audiences for Kyobe will be Africans who love African inspired designs, Africans or black people in the diaspora, and then non-Africans who have an affinity for Africa. So that gives you an example as to who our audience is. And then the last bit was, what is your differentiator? What is your unique selling point? How are you doing, Mikey Forbes? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. So go back to everything that we've written for the past 30 minutes and then put it all together. Put it all together. And at the end of it all, you should have something simple like Kyobe is an African-inspired clothing brand that has been created to tell the story of Africa through colorful clothing. For the diaspora, for the African, for the young African, for the African at heart, and the diaspora. We do this because we believe that the African narrative needs to change. And how do we do this? We do this by giving amazing clothing through good customer service, online and offline. So that gives you a very, very simple, straightforward idea as to what you do, how you do it, why you do it, who you do it for, what are your values of the brand, and what makes you different. And if you have all of this down, you should be able to go back to this every single time you're having meetings with your team, every single time you're thinking about why you're doing this. Because if you look at the 20-year plan, you can say, well, why are we creating this product line? Why are we creating this design if it doesn't fit with our 20-year plan? You could always think, and you could always go back to the why. We started this brand because. So if we're doing something which doesn't fit with why you started, then you know that it doesn't make sense. How? If you realize that you're compromising how you do things, if you're cutting corners on quality, if you're cutting corners on how you serve your customers, then you could go back to your how and realize that you're deviating. The what. What do you really want to achieve? What do you really want to communicate? What do you really want to give to your customers? You can go back to it. Your values. These values will guide you. These 3 values will guide you throughout the 20-year period or more of your brand. The audience, without people watching this video right now, without people who buy Kyobe, without people who buy your service or buy your clothing or use buy your hamper company or whatever you're doing, without the audience, you lose. It doesn't work. It fails. So we all need an audience. We're all in that current time right now. And if there is no audience for your product or service or your shop, you're dead. So understand who your audience are. Understand who your core audience is. Understand what makes them tick. Understand what they need. Because without fulfilling the need, without bringing value to your audience, nobody's going to exchange money for an audience. Understand? So I hope this has helped you have an outlook, a 20-year outlook for your brand. And your outlook will sort of determine the outcome. If you have a positive outlook for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years for your brand, the outcome should be positive. And the outcome should be income. Income is important. Obviously, we have purpose for our companies. Obviously, we're doing this because it makes us happy. We're doing this because we want to give something back to the world. But you have to make income. And over the next week or 2 weeks, as we're teaching you, since we're doing fashion business, we're not just going to focus on just the fashion bit, but we're going to focus on also the business bit. Yesterday, we spoke about what is your story and why you're starting. The second day, today, has been about your brand. Really envisaging what your brand is about, where your brand is going, where you want your brand to go. And then tomorrow, we're going to start getting a bit deeper into how to build the fashion brand. And so if this has been useful to you, do let me know. You need to also laugh. What's your differentiator? What was your differentiator? What makes you different? What makes your brand different? And we all know what makes us different. Some of us will go to Papaya because the chicken tastes the same. Some of us will go to buy Adidas because we know Kanye is going to bring some fire. Some of us might buy Kobe because it makes them happy about Africa. So, what makes you different? So, if you guys are online, if you guys are still with us, as we've almost done, I really appreciate you joining this class. It's been really scary doing this class, even though I know that I bring value to you. And if you've got questions, we've got, I think, a few more minutes. Just let me know what questions you have. YouTube, you can put the questions in the comments and I'll get back to you. Instagram, send us your questions. Facebook, send us your questions. I'm going to give a few minutes for any questions. It doesn't have to be about clothing brands. It could be about brands in general. It could be anything at all. Any question you have about your brand, be it a future question or a current question, let me know. I'm going to help you answer the question. Silence. Nobody's going to ask me a question. Okay, there's a question here. Cool. So we've got one question. We've got one question from Instagram, and it says, "How do you?" Oh, Akua Boateng joined on YouTube. Thank you so much, Akua. Have you got any questions for us? It says, "How do you overcome a plateau period in your business?" Wow, that's a very good question. Medici just joined. Yo, you guys, shout out to Medici. Medici is a designer, artist extraordinaire. He has his brand called Prey, Kwame J, and he also has a Medici brand and artwork. So you guys check him out. Anyway, that question is a very good question. How do you overcome a plateau period in your business? I mean, to be honest with you, I'd say even with my brand KOB, we're at a plateau because I lost the passion and the drive to design, and it just didn't connect with me, and I didn't feel it would be authentic for me to simply create things that I wasn't excited about and didn't have a story or didn't really, have a mission. So that and not really catching the wave of the Afrobeats rise and not just giving my clothes to people who didn't have a message that I agree with, kind of let the brand go down. And even this whole live teaching I'm teaching is to also help me overcome that plateau. I believe that if I give back something with an open heart and give back, I'm gonna meet people like you guys online. I'm gonna, it's gonna get my creative juices running. Just even today, talking about your brand positioning and how to just why you start a brand, it got me really thinking deeply about why I started the brand. So if I go back to my why, and if my why is still relevant today, then I would find the drive and the inspiration to start designing again or to get my company back from the plateau. And the questions we need to ask ourselves is why is this brand or this clothing brand or company plateauing? Is it because we don't have ideas? Is it because we don't have the right people in the business? Is it because the customers don't want it anymore? As designers, we always see trends come and go. But if you don't have a strong why or a strong purpose for your brand, then once you lose clients or you lose money or you lose focus, to get back up again is difficult. We all fall, but I think, getting back up again is really just being open to failure. Being open and being honest with yourself that look, this brand has failed or this brand has plateaued or this brand is not growing. So what are we going to do about it? Are we gonna? Is it we? Do we need to look inside and change ourselves? Do we need to look outside and get inspiration from outside? Do we need to bring other people on board? Are we gonna simply be one man, one woman businesses, or we're gonna find new blood? And I believe that the only way in which we can resurrect as a business is to take risk. It's to take risk and to jump. Once we jump, we don't know what's on the other side, but we're gonna land eventually. And when we land, we're gonna find something new. So I think that's how I'm working around, getting over this plateau for my brand. Getting the creative juices running again, and then hopefully I can do like cool stuff with brands like Medici once I get that excitement up again. So So I hope that answers your question, Pat on Instagram. If anyone else has got any questions, I'll just answer them. If there are no more questions, um, I'm gonna quickly round up, and then you're gonna join you guys tomorrow the same time at 5 p.m. Ghana time GMT. And tomorrow's class, we're gonna just focus a bit more on the fashion bit. This class is not, it's a beginner's class. It's not gonna answer all the questions that you have, but I hope that by the end of the 2 weeks, you guys are gonna have the confidence to at least answers that transcend generations. Oof, your questions are hardcore, man. We don't have businesses that transcend generations. We don't even have businesses that we even had kind of grow beyond the founders. I think one, because of our culture, the culture where people feel that if they bring people from outside, people are gonna take from them. And I don't think it's like a um I think it has to do with military past from the coups where companies were taking from people. So people hide their wealth. They don't want people to know. Two, people feel that if they let people in, they take, or if they let families in, it becomes complicated. Or you have a founder who keeps everything to himself. It's all in his head. He knows where all the money is. He knows what all the ideas are, and he never creates a succession plan. In Ghana, you had companies like Pambros, Salts, they failed. Mechanical Lloyd has been able to pass into a second generation. Casaperco is passing on to a second generation. So I would say that it's kind of changing now, but you had from 20, 30 years ago, a lot of these brands failed simply because they had no succession plan. And I think it's a cultural thing. Some of these founders also had big families, and families fight, and people feel they just have to break it up, and they've not been trained to handle it. And also corporate structure, and this is something that we can even bring back to um, fashion business. I've done it the wrong way. I started a brand at points in time. I brought people into my business, but right now it's kind of only me, and that's not how to run a business. If your business cannot run by itself when you go on holiday, if your business cannot run when you're sick, then you don't have a business. You are still kind of like an employee. You've got like a one-man business, which will die when you fall sick or when you die. So the question is, how are you going to have corporate governance? How are you going to have structures in place in your business so that you actually have a business that runs without you? A business that runs without you is a real business. A business that lives without you is a real business. And Ghanaian business owners, a lot of them, don't want people to know what is happening in the business because people cut corners and people don't have integrity. And so once they let people in or they let outsiders in, they know that they're going to find what their nasty things they're doing in the business. So they rather hold it to their chest and they die with the business. But I don't think it's God's purpose for us to create businesses that die. God's purpose is for us to have businesses that impact and that impact in generations and can be passed down to. Preaching over, preaching over. I'm taking offering. Anyway, same with me. I call it a hobby at this point. Yeah, I mean, at a point in time when I realized I didn't really have the strong passion for my brand, I called it a passion project because it was my 9 to 5 in digital marketing and advertising that was paying for my clothing brand. So the question is, do we want to take these businesses or these ideas and create real brands, real businesses, or do you just want to create hobbies, or do you want to create passions? Because if you want to create hobbies and stuff, then don't waste my time, don't waste your time. We're all wasting each other's time. Those are mistakes that I made, and I don't want you to make those mistakes. You need to create businesses. The money, the outcome should be income. We pursue the purpose of our business passionately. We have a good outlook for the business because the outlook determines the outcome, and then the outcome should be income. And as we provide income, we're impacting lives because if we provide income, we can provide income for our employees. We can provide income for people. We can create jobs. We can impact the world. So let's think big. Let's think big. Let's really wake up. And if we have brands that are dead, let's resurrect it. As I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to my brand. I'm going to start designing. I'm going to start pushing things out there. I'm going to believe in faith. Even in this time when there's Corona and nothing is happening, there's no money coming in from any of my businesses, there's no money coming in from my clothing brand. This is the time for you to rise up and do something amazing. Okay, guys. I hope this is a clarion call. I hope this has gingered you up. I hope this has really gotten you to start dreaming big about this brand. And you put it on paper, you have a brand mission, you have a brand plan, you know why you're doing it, you know how you're doing it, you know the what, you know who your audience is. And tomorrow we're gonna jump straight into it. 5 p.m. See you guys 5 p.m. You know, I hope you enjoyed this. If you've got any messages, any questions, send them back into me and I'll answer for you, Charlie. God bless, peace, and hair grease.